All right, let's move on to the issue of gun rights, if we can, for just a moment. And Representative Bynum, we'll start with you. This is a two-part question. The first part of that question is very simple. Yes or no? Do you support an assault weapons ban?
Yes.
And the second part of that question, what changes to federal law regulating gun control do you support?
The principle here is that our children are dying in schools. People are dying in grocery stores. People are dying in the public square. People are dying because, A, we don't have mental health supports, as I've already mentioned, and B, there are not enough red flag laws that are enforced or implemented that can help identify people at an early stage for not being fit to own a gun that can shred people in an instant. I think it's time for us to stop playing fast and loose with our children's lives, and I don't want to bury any more children that have been harmed as a result of a school shooting. This is an issue that Republicans won't take up. This is an issue that mothers like me are very concerned about. We have to do better, and my opponent can't get there.
Congresswoman DeRemer, do you support an assault weapons ban in this country?
Taking guns away from law-abiding citizens is not where I stand. I support the Second Amendment. But let me tell you what I think we can do. I supported and co-sponsored the EAGLES Act, bicameral, bipartisan National Threat Assessment Center to prevent violence on all Americans. My opponent mentioned the red flag laws. Do you know that she's voted twice to let criminals out of prison here in Oregon? And she's also voted to reduce felonies to misdemeanors. Well, what happens when you reduce felonies to misdemeanors? People have access to guns. So how on one hand you can say you care about red flag laws, you care about protecting Oregonians, and you're willing to decrease criminal offenses that they've been charged for in order to put guns back in the hands of those criminals makes no sense to me. So that is false, that she hasn't supported that. And dismantling and defunding law enforcement. Defunding the police, she's been a champion of that. Putting criminals back on the street that she has voted for.
That's not true.
Again,
that's not true.
Measure 110 you talked about is not a federal level. She keeps saying it's a state level, but she won't handle it at the state level.
Let me back up for just a second, Congresswoman. Is there a gun control law that you would support in Congress?
Yeah, this is right. The EAGLES Act. I just signed on to it. Bicameral, bipartisan, making sure that we can identify where the threat assessments are. We have to address mental health. And again, not been done by my opponent. We have to address drug addiction. Again, open arm by my opponent. The failures here have made our job. We have to come in and we have to fill the delta because of her failed policies.
Representative Bynum, a lot was said there about your feelings on gun control and the like.
A lot.
You have 30 seconds.
A lot of truth.
I'm sorry.
You have 30 seconds.
Well, I think it just goes to show, as a mom, she's not as serious about making sure that our kids aren't shredded in schools. Like, that's a whole thing. I mean, we saw Uvalde, we saw Florida, we saw Boston, we've seen Las Vegas. How much more do we have to see before we get serious about protecting our families? Like, it's a whole lot of talk, but there's no action. And then there's a whole lot of baiting about, who wants to defund. I never did that. That's you. That's you.